Hello, everybody. We're the film lovers, and well, with this one, we are talking about a film.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a documentary.
But I think we're going to classify this as film lovers.
We are going to classify it as
I
that?
think so. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Anyway, so the documentary is
a documentary.
Yeah, is Beware of Mr. Baker.
He's mad.
Well, I think he was kind of fairly consistently horrible to people and to himself.
If they got a problem with me, come and see me and punch me on the nose. I ain't gonna sue you, I'm gonna hit you back.
He's moved around the world, getting thrown out of every country.
He's a rogue. He's a lovable rogue. He was a fucking dope addict, man. He was into drugs heavily.
Are you surprised that he's still living? Yes, I am.
It came out in 2012. Basically, if you don't know who Baker is, I mean, Ginger Baker, the drummer from Cream fame and Blind Faith. He did numerous projects after that, but those are the two things he's most well known for.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't really give a lot of background on the interviewer or the filmmaker himself. Just
a little bit.
Like what? You have to jog my memory.
I don't really know, but I do remember there was a little intro. He
He
wrote a piece in Rolling Stone about Ginger Baker.
Right, but he wasn't a Rolling Stone employee or anything or writer. Like he just did it.
He did it, and then they bought it.
Yeah.
The article, so that's how it started.
Yeah.
I guess he thought it would be interesting enough to make a documentary out of.
Yeah. So he called Ginger Baker and said that he was a writer for Rolling Stone and wanted to interview.
That's what it was.
He acted like he was a writer for Rolling Stone.
That's right. Okay.
And he just flew out and started living with Baker and basically, just talking about his life and then, interviewing about his life, and if you don't know, at the time anyway, he lived in South Africa at the time of this documentary. He'd lived there for I don't know, it makes it sound like it was at least 10 years or something like that.
Yeah. He had the idea he came back there, right?
Hmm?
He lived in South Africa, left, and
no,
then
it was in Nigeria, remember?
Oh,
it was
okay.
in Central Africa in the 70s.
Gotcha.
So anyway, I mean, should we talk about the history as if we just watched it, or just talk about the information? Or, I mean, it's kind of weird, talking about a documentary film. I mean,
yeah,
I think it's well done.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it's a well done documentary.
Yeah.
I like there's animated segments that are kind of, while not well animated, they're effective.
Yeah, yeah.
I think, you know what I mean, capturing him at certain points in his life.
It's an unusual documentary, just in the sense there's probably a small market for this film. I can't imagine a huge audience for this film.
Yeah, at this point,
in a way,
because at this point, Ginger Baker's he's pretty much, unless you're a musician or you're an old school rock fan.
That's what I'm saying.
He's kind of forgotten.
Right? Yeah,
he's
that's,
totally forgotten.
That's what I'm saying. Most people will be like, "Who's Baker?
Who's Ginger Baker?
What's this about?"
What's that? Yeah.
So.
Because really, the only time he was a rock star and really in the public light was in the late '60s.
Yeah.
That was really the only time.
Yeah, I mean,
so unless you're older.
Yeah.
You're not really going to remember him.
You also have to be specifically interested in drummers.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is an unusual kind of niche thing. I mean, it's not, a huge market.
Yeah.
But,
the one thing that's great about this documentary, though, is it was able to license the music from his career.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Cream,
I was going to say that. Yeah, I did notice that.
You did not recognize some of the other stuff they had in there, but I knew it from his solo material, if you want to call it that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did notice.
They used a lot of his music.
I thought that was kind of interesting that they got
it was
permission.
essential. I mean, to me, it's almost essential for a music documentary.
You gotta.
Yeah, you gotta get those rights.
It's a shame. There's a lot of crappy third-party companies now. I don't know if you've ever come across it, and they just try to cash in, and so it'll be like a documentary on Freddie Mercury, and then it's unauthorized, and you put it in. There's all this crappy music. There's no video. There's almost no audio. There might be some pictures narrated by a bad narrator, and it's because it's junk. They just try to cash in on the name.
Right.
And So that was cool that they were able to do that.
Have you watched a few of those for Freddie Mercury?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
Oh,
a couple
okay.
of Queen ones in particular.
Well, I mean, it's not a
They stink.
It's not really a documentary. It's like a drama. The one about oh my god, the guitarist from the '60s that they say he killed Clapton. He killed God.
Jimi Hendrix?
Jimi Hendrix. Remember that movie that came out recently? They did not get the rights to the music. It's so right.
Oh, that's right.
It's so lame. Like everybody was making a big deal that we're getting off track, but they made a big deal about the actor doing a good job portraying him.
That movie got some credit because supposedly it was done in an unorthodox way.
Unorthodox.
In the sense that it wasn't a typical biographical biopic.
Okay.
There's a style and a formula that a lot of these follow, and this one kind of, got out of that.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, we're getting off track.
Yeah. This has nothing to do.
I mean, it's great that they got the rights to the license or the music.
Yeah.
So.
Which I was surprised, to be honest.
I was kind of surprised too. I was like, is it going to have it in there?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And the other thing that's really cool is that they got he interviewed people, other musicians. Not only his contemporaries like Eric Clapton or Jack Bruce from Cream, but also Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers or Neil Peart a little bit. There's like a few seconds where Neil Peart's in it. I wish they kind of had used a little bit more. It would have been interesting to hear more.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a great virtuoso madman. Maybe you have to be a little mad to play the way he does.
Probably the greatest drummer that any of us have ever heard.
He was the hammer of the gods.
He's a force of nature.
The world's greatest drummer.
But, it's cool that they got, I mean, this is a real deal documentary about Ginger Baker. I can't imagine it being any better and being comprehensive.
Yeah.
Except for one thing, but I'll get to that later. I think great usage of the music. I love how he uses Toad when he, there's a famous bit where he gets hit. The documentary filmmaker gets hit in the nose by Ginger Baker with his cane.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna fucking put you in hospital. What? Oh.
On like the last day of filming with him, because once he had lived
disturbing.
there, once he had lived with Ginger Baker for a while and gotten the footage he wanted and the interview material that he wanted from Baker, he then said, "Hey, look, I am going to go and interview these other people from your life."
Yeah.
And he was pissed about that. I guess he kind of felt betrayed or frustrated.
Yeah, there's partly that. Also, you get the feeling that he's not very good with goodbyes because that was the end of their journey together for a couple of days.
I think it was more than a couple of days, though.
Well, whatever. You get the feeling he's not good with farewells or goodbyes.
Well, they kind of make a point of that.
That's what I'm saying.
In the film itself.
They do through the whole film.
Was it his daughter who says something?
No,
his
son.
Daughter. Oh, his son maybe.
His son.
Daughter. What?
Remember the 2 days before he left said you're horrible at drums. Ginger Baker said this to his son.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in you. Like get out of my life, essentially.
Yeah.
And then he left.
And he also said, because that's the other interesting thing too. They do interview not only other musicians, but they interview his first wife, I believe, and his
third wife. So I remember
his first and third though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the second one's missed, like not around.
Well, that was the teenager that he got involved with.
And the way that ended was weird. It just said she went off with a young guy, and that was the end of it. I guess they divorced. I don't really know what happened. So.
But and they also interview his son, Coffee, or is it how do you say it?
I don't
Coffee
know.
Baker.
They don't really say it. They just.
He actually seemed like a pretty good drummer.
Yeah, and he seemed like, given the shitty life he kind of seemed like he had, he seemed a little grounded in some way. Odd that he was shirtless, but I guess it looked like he was a bodybuilder type.
It looks like he was into health.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got. But otherwise, the vibe I got from the documentary, it's a good documentary.
Well, can I say real quick before you go on?
Yeah.
I just have to point this out. His daughter looks so much like him. Do you remember the daughter?
I don't.
It was so eerie. It was so weird. I mean, Ginger Baker's not a handsome man. He never was.
I'm as,
Oh my god.
whatever.
But do you remember the daughter?
Self-deprecating as
the
it
daughter
gets.
looked just like him. It was so weird.
She must not have been in it that much.
She wasn't.
Okay,
She wasn't in it
I don't
much.
even remember her.
Okay.
She must have just come on, and I didn't have a chance to even go, that's his daughter, and then comprehend it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm as self-deprecating as you get, but he was kind of scary looking in some of the shots and looked quite ill in more of the shots.
He looked like he was going to die in the 60s.
Yeah, he looked. Yeah, the
He
weirdest
always looked
feature
unhealthy.
he has is like his cheeks are sunken in.
Well, he's like so thin.
And it
He's
just
so,
looks sick. It looks
I know.
ill, like he's
Yeah.
really sick. Okay, so yeah, it's a good.
What were you gonna?
Oh, it's
yeah,
a good
what were you
documentary.
Gonna, yeah.
It's just it's the right length, which is good. It doesn't go over.
What, like an hour and 45 or
I
something?
think it's less. It looked like it was almost an hour and 30 minutes almost.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a little longer, but not.
Okay.
Because there's only so much you can do with that story, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I'm saying like that's a good length.
my only complaint is that they did
You
leave
did
out
miss
one,
out, yeah.
one part of his career, as far as I could tell anyway. That I
So-
know of him, but
Yeah. He's a pretty despicable guy. He's an amazing drummer.
oh, he's an amazing drummer. Yeah,
But
he's my favorite drummer, a rock drummer.
Gotcha.
I mean drummer. Yeah, he considers himself a jazz.
jazz,
drummer.
but yeah.
Same thing with Jack Bruce. He considered himself a jazz musician.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, he seemed like a pretty despicable kind of guy. In otherwise, don't you think?
yeah, although I
mean,
do
he
kind
treated
of
his family like crap.
yeah. While I wouldn't really like to meet the man in person.
Oh, I'm not saying anything about. Well, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say remember what Eric Clapton says is that he's a lovable rogue.
Yeah.
That I do think there's something about him. He's so unique of a character of a person. There is something about
That only
him
gets
that's-
you so far.
I know, it only
when
gets you so far.
Yeah, I mean when you tell your son you want nothing to do with him, you don't care, you're uninterested.
I know, that
in
was really rough.
Whatever he has to do,
Yeah, it's
you're
really
uninterested.
And he
You're-
said he wished he had black children.
Yeah, which is
Too,
odd.
which is odd. Yes.
Bizarre.
Bizarre.
Well, I asked him if he, I said, do you even care about anything I do or anything? He said no. So I said, fine. So I got in my car and left. That was the last time I saw him.
So that lovability, that weird lovability character, only I think can go so far.
He's definitely hurt some people in his life.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He hurt a lot of people. It seems.
Yeah.
Like. He doesn't seem like he gets close with many people. Like even his wives end up. Obviously, his track record's horrible. They
Yeah.
eventually either stop traveling and going to places with him, or like the third wife said, "I'm not going this time."
Yes.
He decided, "Oh, I'm just getting back up and packing up and leaving again for like the 100th time."
Yeah, the one thing I found interesting, I didn't realize that he at one point he lived in L.A. and he also lived in Denver, Colorado. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
And I never knew he lived in the States. I thought,
Yeah, I didn't
I
know.
thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was
surprising.
interesting.
I see how he was able to get more musical opportunities though from being in the States.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to think. It was definitely interesting. I was glad I watched it. One thing that this movie lacks is like these type of movies where he's like down and out. After Cream, I mean, he bombed hard.
Well, not
like,
immediately.
Financially.
Not immediately.
Not immediately, but most of the movie after that point, the documentary on his life was a disaster.
Yes.
And he'd make money and spend it, and then be broke, and then.
Mm-hmm.
And it made me sick because I think they got paid a lot of money for that reunion tour that he spent it
Yes.
on fucking horses and,
Yes.
and wasted it. I mean,
Wasted
it's
it.
not an investment. It's not anything.
No.
They got paid a lot of money, I think.
Oh, I think so, dude. Well, they only did.
The three
They
nights,
did
right?
3 nights in London and 2 or 3 nights in
I don't
Madison
think that
Square
many,
Garden.
dude. It was like not like like that. I guess that's about right. Yeah.
And I mean, if that's all they needed to do, I mean, if they needed money, which Jack Bruce, I think at that point was okay. He got his finances together
Well,
after he got off drugs.
as Ginger Baker pointed out, he gets residuals for the rest of his life.
Jack Bruce, because he
Yes.
was the
Their two biggest hits that probably get used the most in movies:
he wrote
White Room and Sunshine of Your Love. Well, those get used all the time.
Does he mention that in the documentary? He resents that almost
Yes,
of it?
yeah. Ginger Baker said, "Oh, I came up with all these musical ideas, but musicians don't get residuals because they don't get a writing credit."
Right.
It's the person who wrote the lyrics, and he said to this day they still get checks. You know, Pete
Brown,
the poet, and Ginger Baker he particularly cited White Room, not Sunshine of Your Love, but. Both of those songs get used in a lot of movies, so all that residual money. You know.
Well, didn't he say he came up with the 5/3 time signature or something?
Yeah, he was he resented the fact that they'll make money off that song for the rest of their lives, and they will, you know.
Yeah,
because they wrote the lyrics.
Jack Bruce is no longer with us. But,
yes,
you know,
which was watching the documentary. I was like, that's so weird.
I know it is
to
weird.
think,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
I almost forgot. It was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm like, oh my God, he passed away. You know, that's kind of weird. What I was saying was that a lot of this story has downs, like financially speaking, and like the one guy said, and it's funny because the guy, I don't know who was being interviewed, but I was thinking at this point in the movie that business-wise, he was a walking disaster.
Yes.
Everything he tried to do was a disaster and made no sense almost. Like, I don't know, a recording studio in
Nigeria.
It just doesn't make sense.
How is that viable?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like I just said, it made
and South Africa too. There's no music scene there.
Yeah, it just doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It made me sick, like I said, about the Cream reunion money. Instead of saving that or buying a house or investing in something that is really worth it, he's spending on horses. I mean,
I wish they had talked more about the reunion.
Yeah, it's very
shows.
brushed over.
It's very brushed over.
Yeah.
Because I do know in interviews that took place after they did those...
He seemed happy with it, which is odd, because Ginger Baker criticizes almost everything.
Well, with Jack Bruce involved.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He seemed like he was very happy with it.
Told you not to wander around in the dark.
Even in that present interview.
And yeah, but
he said, I think it went very well, actually.
It's interesting though, because I did read then an interview that took place after those reunion shows, and he said that Jack Bruce was typical Jack Bruce of being too loud, being too pushy. He said that Jack Bruce yelled at him a few times during rehearsal or something, or was, you know, belligerent.
Found out today.
I mean, it's so hard.
You don't know who to believe in that case.
I mean, but it really leans towards not believing
Ginger
Baker
or
because
he's misreading it or something.
I know, Ginger Baker seems like the one who is just so combative.
I'm so glad, I'm so glad, I'm glad, I'm glad, I'm glad.
And
yeah,
you know, whereas Jack Bruce, you know, he can be a little cocky in some things I've read or some things I've seen.
Even he says something in there that's kind of cocky, and it escapes me now that he's the best.
No,
rhythm.
What it is, yeah, Ginger Baker was always critical of Jack Bruce of being too busy.
That's what it was, yeah.
Basically, just being too busy of a bassist.
Yeah.
He said he didn't have the touch, the proper touch to bass playing,
like soul or feeling, maybe.
And Jack Bruce countered in his interview in the movie or in the show or documentary that he said, "No, I've got perfect timing."
That's
and,
what it was.
You know, I'm classically trained or something to that
Yeah,
effect.
yeah,
And it was a
like,
little
whoa,
like, okay, all right,
sorry,
dude.
dude.
Like, I know he's talented, but you don't have to be so.
Yeah.
It was a little weird. Yeah.
They really butt heads. Yeah.
Yes.
They're just two people that just don't get along.
No.
But they happen to be connected by this band. You know?
And I think some of that has to do with their level of talent.
Sure.
That, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get the feeling Ginger Baker's a very hard person to work with, musically.
But the weird thing is, though, he did do a lot of solo projects with people.
I know, but they were so short.
They were short-lived, but
you know what I mean?
You
get the sense like he could start a band,
yeah,
but it could only sustain for so long until... In fact, it said in the interview how quickly he would go from band to band.
Yeah, somebody they interviewed. I
Yeah,
can't
it
remember who
said
he
one
was
week
like,
and it'd be like this great band, and then it would be like the next week it's done. It's like they put an album out and it's over, and it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
What I was saying was this movie lacked a comeback of any kind to me. I know they
What do you mean a
tried.
comeback?
Well, like this was a movie that was down, 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 and he was.
Well, it's true to his life.
No,
though. I mean,
sure,
what are you
sure.
gonna do?
No,
I
no,
mean,
I know. You're right. You're
don't
right.
fabricate something that's not there.
Well, no, I know. But
Yeah.
sometimes I've seen these type of documentaries, not fabricate, but it happened to be made at a time where they have a comeback. So there's kind of an upending, sort of a little bit. They try to do that, I think, a little bit with the drum ending on stage when he comes back out.
Yes.
And I'm not criticizing it for him. I'm just saying there is no. It's not like there's any kind of comeback. It just seems, and I think, like you said, he was foreclosed on, right, or chased out of.
Yeah. After the filming of this documentary took place, I read a Rolling Stone article or something that that he, I don't think it was Rolling Stone. It was something else. But anyway, he basically, got chased out of South Africa. His horses, I believe, or his dogs were getting killed by unknown assailants. And he was basically just getting harassed and stuff.
You said, yeah.
And he just said he just couldn't do it anymore, so he
Now-
just up and left. Which it kind of seems sad because I wonder if he left. He seemed to be attached to those children. Remember his one African wife he had?
Mm-hmm.
He seemed to be nice to the children. Did you notice that kind of?
Yes, that was his wife, because they never really tell you.
I think so.
Okay.
I think that was his fourth or fifth wife. I don't know.
Yeah, I think
I don't
so.
know.
Yeah.
So.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Did she speak English? I mean.
That's the thing, because remember, he does ask a question to her in English.
Yes.
And Ginger Baker's standing right next to her, and she doesn't answer the question. So it's like, but it is a question that it seems like. Remember, he asked, "Is he a good father?" He asked her if Ginger Baker is a good father.
Okay. So it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, and she didn't. She just didn't answer the question.
Yeah, and there's
the whole
a
time
point-
the camera was rolling.
There's a point where he's talking about the house being foreclosed, and she's just standing, like sitting next to him, looking at him, and like just no comment, no anything, like not even a gesture of any kind. So I didn't know if she quite, maybe she spoke broken English or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think South Africa. I want to say the first language is English because it was a British colony.
Gotcha.
At one point, so. But she could be from somewhere else.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, who knows?
Anyway, the one thing I would like to mention, for what it's worth, I don't really put a lot of stock in Rolling Stone, but this was, I think you pointed it out before the documentary came out, this was one of the top 10, it was on their list of the top 10 things that they were most excited for the next year, which was 2012, and Rolling Stone said one of those top 10 things was this documentary.
Okay.
They actually had a special shout out to it that they were really anticipating.
That sounds familiar, actually.
Yeah, you pointed it out to me.
Did I?
Yeah, you brought it up.
Okay.
I didn't know that. So, and it got me more excited, even more to get this. You know, side note, interestingly enough, there is no Blu-ray release.
Yeah.
Although I think the DVD is very well encoded. Like, I can't tell. Like, the quality is pretty much fantastic.
I don't know how much a Blu-ray would improve necessarily. Especially some of the archive footage. It looks like they went back and remastered it. Some of it looks redone in high def or something.
Yeah, it does. Just about all the clips are in widescreen.
That's what I'm saying. It seemed like
they might have cropped it. They might
well, no.
You know.
I'm saying, but the quality. It looks like an old footage that they kind of upscaled to HD in some way.
Yes. Yeah.
So they went
There's
back.
a lot of time and effort put into this documentary to have the music and the clips from all those time periods. Some of those photos
I know, I was thinking
are from such obscure time periods in
Well,
his life.
I was thinking some of the footage.
Some of the
This
footage
is
too.
really obscure stuff. I mean, you
to
really
get
have
all
to dig
that,
deep to get some of that stuff.
Well, especially the
That
stuff
was impressive.
they had footage from
That
when he
in
was in the
Africa.
recording studio
Yeah,
in
I know,
Africa. Well,
but-
even the stuff him walking around in Africa.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
Who was even filming that?
I know. I don't understand.
It's really. I mean, I know he was coming off being a rock star, basically.
Yeah, but
so
who would film it? It
I
just
know.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's weird.
But it's cool that they had
very comprehensive
access
in
to
that respect. Yeah. So
I'm glad I saw it. It's definitely for a diehard Cream fan or a diehard drumming fan. I don't think everybody would enjoy it. You'd have to be interested sort of in the subject.
Well, funny enough, remember when we were earlier today, my sister said she had watched it, and she did sit down, and the second time I watched it was with her. She actually did a psychology paper, on Ginger Baker, and she diagnosed him in the paper as being like narcissistic or megalomaniac, something like that. And she, for research, she watched that documentary with me. Oh. So she found it interesting too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can get it. You can get interest on that.
I know
level.
It's weird of a but I mean he is such an odd character.
He really is. Yeah.
He's such a unique type of person.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the one, we mentioned that he seemed to be nice to the children while he was in South Africa. He also seemed to always have a pretty good relationship or friendship with Eric Clapton.
Yeah, that's odd.
You know what I'm saying?
He didn't seem to have much negative to say about Eric Clapton, really.
No. They never fought, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, Eric Clapton's a very nice person.
He seems very down to earth.
Very down to earth, humble.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that kind of makes
and he says all but praises about basically Ginger Baker.
Yeah. He even scoffs at like Keith Moon
and John Bonham being compared to him.
Yeah, that they're not even in the same league.
Right.
Which is actually a really nice compliment.
Think
about it.
Yeah. He pointed out that he is a composer.
Yeah. He
is an all-around musician.
Absolutely.
He's not just a performer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't just sit there and play the drums. He
is.
I mean, even some of Cream's songs, he was involved with the writing, as he said himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
But even from my knowledge, I know that he was co-writer on a few of the songs specifically.
Okay.
But not any of their hits necessarily.
Yeah.
Although I think they're good. I think they're fine songs.
Sure. But
he did that song, "What a Bring Down," that you like.
Oh,
off of
cool
Goodbye.
Song. Yeah.
Which Eric Clapton sings, but Ginger Baker helped him up.
Just wrote and didn't sing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, he wasn't much of a singer, but.
No.
I wouldn't say.
No. Very talented drummer.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
he did attempt to sing a song or two here.
Yes.
Did he do any others besides Blue Condition?
Instead of deep reflection of what's true.
He did the studio version of Blue Condition, which, thank God, on the deluxe version of Disraeli Gears, there is a, it's technically a demo version, but not, because it is a complete song.
Yeah, there's nothing.
All the instrumentation.
There's nothing incomplete about it.
Of Blue Condition, where Eric Clapton sings it, and it's perfect with Eric Clapton.
I wish that was the one. Included.
I wish that was a studio version.
It hurts that album a little bit.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like,
I know.
And it just seems sort of like a silly choice.
Yeah. What was the other thing I was going to say, though? Oh, the other song that he sang on, he didn't sing, it was a spoken word song.
It was like a joke song.
Press Rat and Warthog.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does the spoken word for that.
He just talks, yeah.
He just talks.
Yeah, you showed me the live performance of that on the reunion tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Press Rat and Warthog closed down their shop. They didn't want to, it was all they had got.
Yeah, he did it, which was the first time they ever did it live.
Yeah, I remember.
As a matter of fact, they had never done, interestingly enough, I know we're kind of getting off topic again, but with the reunion tour, they did Badge for the first time live.
Really?
Which is, that was the first time they did it live, because it came out on Goodbye.
Oh, so they were
ending. And by that point, they weren't a band anymore.
Yeah, so that's...
The last time they toured was in late '68.
Okay.
And Goodbye came out in '69.
Gotcha.
And I'm thinking about the love you laid on my table.
So.
Okay. Makes sense.
But anyway, anything else to say?
No, that's it.
I'm really glad I own it. It's interesting to watch even multiple times. I've noticed.
Yeah.
It's well put together. It's just very well put together, and I think it is cinematic.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It doesn't get dry. It doesn't get boring.
No.
It's pretty cinematic, and
I think the subject and his story is interesting enough. So you know what I'm saying?
Oh, my one complaint. Which, besides the fact that they kind of really glossed over the reunion tour, I would have liked to have had a little bit more detail about that, like the getting together of it, the organizing of it, and all that. Who contacted who first. Or, that
would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah, for sure.
Because sorry.
No, it's okay. What?
Just it would have been interesting because it starts, with him being in Cream and his career.
Well, the documentary doesn't start with that though.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, you know, his musical career kind of takes
Skyrocketed
off with Cream.
Yeah, right.
So it would have been cool to get more of the details
Of
of them coming back, like coming
Yeah.
around back to that story a little bit. It wasn't just like, oh, in 2005 we got together.
I was just watching one of the videos. They did, Crossroads live for the reunion.
I've watched a lot
and
of
Brian May's there, and he's nodding his head. He was at the show.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It was really
he's
cool.
in the footage?
Yeah, dude. They show him.
Oh, that's awesome.
And, yeah, while they're doing.
You'll have to show me that.
Yeah, while they're doing I'll show you after this. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would be
And while
cool.
they're doing Crossroads,
I thought I've seen from you. I think I've seen most of that, like in full high def. We've watched a lot of that.
I don't think we ever watched Crossroads.
Maybe not Crossroads, but
Yeah.
most of it
I've shown
seen.
you a lot of it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of it.
But
I've enjoyed it. It's good.
Yeah, Brian May's there.
That's
I want
cool.
to say Sting was there.
Huh.
I mean, I'm just saying. I don't care for him
He's pretty
necessarily.
talented.
He is pretty talented.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
or I don't know a lot about him.
He is
but
pretty
Tim
talented.
Burton's there, and also Helen. What's her name?
Helen Mirren.
No, not
No,
Helen Mirren. His girlfriend at the time, Helen
his
Bonham Carter. Is that
Yes.
it? Helen Bonham Carter.
Yeah.
They're in the thing.
That's an unusual.
There's a few other people. It was just it was interesting to see. I mean, obviously the main thing is the performance. But
Well, yeah.
anyway, the one main complaint though with this documentary is that if it's trying to be comprehensive, it really left out one part of his career that I was very happy with, and that is the Ginger Baker Trio. Of 94, and I think they came out with their second album in 96. Going Back Home is the first album, and Falling Off the Roof, I think is the title of the second one. I can't remember. But that really is him. I mean, if anything showcases the fact that he can play jazz, those two albums do. And it was a really good lineup. A lot of people say that he knew how to get talented people together.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Cream, he had Jack Bruce and Eric Clapton, two
Yep.
very talented musicians. And then a lot of people say, as a bookend, he did this trio, and he got Bill Frisell, who's more known for, oddly enough, country music, not commercial
I know what
country,
you're saying.
not commercial country.
Well, yeah.
Very talented guitarist, so very creative. And I'm trying. Charlie Hayden was the bassist. He just passed away about a year or two ago. But that was almost a good bookend to his career in a way of having these two very talented trios together.
Yeah.
And it was very disappointing that they don't even mention that
I
at
don't
all.
remember that
I
at
mean,
all,
It was
yeah.
2 albums, and they even did a performance at a huge jazz, not convention, but festival in Germany, which is some great live footage if you want to check it out of the Ginger Baker Trio live. I think it's their only performance they have on footage of any kind. Anyway, yeah, that was just disappointing knowing his studio stuff. I wish they had gone a little bit more into his musical work with, now that I'm thinking of it, with Fela Kuti, if that's how you say his name, Fela Kuti. Remember the one African guy who got beat up by the police, that dude?
He had presidential aspirations, he said.
Yeah, he was really trying to be like a reformer.
He must have had some kind of impact, because then next thing you know, he was like beaten up and by the government.
By the government, yeah.
So he probably had some kind of popularity, and they weren't happy with that. So.
Right. That's another part, because there's a few albums that he did with that I wish they had kind of gotten a little more into detail with the album. I wish they had gone a little more album by album. I know they were trying to make it more cinematic and of the life story, and those kind of points, but I just wish they had kind of done that more. So.
Yeah, what's also interesting, and I'll just kind of end with this, is just that by putting out this documentary, it promotes some of his other stuff that I would have never really even thought to even look into. Like, I was telling you that one band,
Baker Gervitz Army,
and
the Masters
90s,
of Reality.
Right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, the Master of Reality was in the 80s, right? Or in the 70s, maybe.
No, Masters of Reality, I'm pretty sure, was the early 90s. Baker Gervitz might have been the late 80s.
Keep on talking. Ride on through, keep on heading, all the cool. Kept his wheels and he kept his head.
Okay, I
Because
think.
for a time he lived in Italy and he was doing no music in Italy at all. And he was really at the bottom. I mean, the depths of despair almost. I mean, from what
I'm saying is, like, by watching this documentary, now I'm gonna check out those two bands and their music on YouTube.
Yeah, I've got the
And
one.
I would have never even thought to.
Mhm.
I mean, why would I? I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know these bands existed. So, in that way, it's kind of cool. It introduces people to his other career, his other musical.
Besides just Cream and Blind Faith.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
in that way, it's kind of interesting.
Which, just like, I know this is kind of off topic, but just like Neil Peart, I think Ginger Baker became the best drummer he ever was in the 90s, oddly enough.
Really?
Yeah, I think that, I wish I could find this footage. It is so incredible what he's doing in this. Remember they showed some footage of him doing a tutorial where he was like, this is how you hold the drumstick and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of goofy.
Yeah, yeah.
But they show a clip of him playing before he starts talking like that. And it is incredible. Like, I don't know how anybody is that talented to do what he... Like, literally, every single appendage
oh my God.
is doing something different. He's doing double bass. He's hitting all over the place on the drum kit. I've never seen anybody play like that, and I wish it was more available. I think it got taken down on YouTube, but it was just incredible. But Neil Peart too. I think he, in the late '80s, I believe he got some lessons from a jazz drummer.
He did,
and I think he got better. A lot of people, you know, he considered himself more of a percussionist in the 70s and 80s, but I mean, some of the stuff in the 90s, I don't know, it's not their best albums, but I think he just got better. I really do, especially his double bass work. As a matter of fact, I've heard, it's a rumor, it might even be true, I can't remember, that, getting off topic, sorry, but that he did the double bass stuff separate. Like, he would record his hands, what he did with his hands, and then he would go back in the studio and do the you know what I'm saying? Like, you separate. Well, it's not kind of cool, because it's like, it's kind of lame. Like, you couldn't do it for real. Like,
well, that's actually what I was thinking. But
I mean, anyway, that's off topic. We might even edit this out. But anyway, we both enjoyed it. I mean, you know, it's a cool, special documentary.
Yeah,
and
I think it
it's almost surprising it was made.
Yeah.
You know, for somebody who's kind of forgotten as he is.
That's what I mean.
By the general public.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have a huge audience.
No.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it, everybody. Please like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Farewell.
See ya.
You're